I think what happens is that I think we're all been so conditioned to live in fear and worry and the doubt and all that stuff. It really plays a role on our ability to like create and manifest our life. And the interesting thing is this: I think everybody wants to create and they want to manifest their thing, but I think we all get scared, or we have this fear that if we get what we want, it won't complete us, right? That sounds so illogical, but it's because of, as kids, we've just been tuned and programmed through parents, through social, through just just the general system of what I call the matrix. And look, it's like we have to relearn how our mind and body works, because listen guys, no one taught us this stuff. Like, how does the mind and body work? And if we don't understand how our mind bodies work, then we won't have that vibrational plane to get it. You know, you are incredible beings. The way your body, the way your system is made up, we are multi-dimensional beings, and we can see that in the biological structural makeup of our cells and our DNAs, our thought patterns, and everything of that sort. And then what makes this thing even more interesting or even more spectacular is that our world, like the world you and I see around us, it's not even a material world. It's a spiritual world. We are spiritual beings living in a physical body, and we're here for these experiences, and everything is an experience. Yes, the brain is good. The brain is a decoder, but the brain just is here just to make some of what it can, and we only got five senses, man. So when you want to do something spectacular, you have to be unorthodox. You're gonna have to be a little bit crazy, so to speak, because everybody else is on the same plateau or the same pattern. So let me give an example like this. All right. See, the thing about the brain is, all right, there could be opportunity right in front of us right now. Your brain won't reveal it to you because your brain is like looking for a need to know basis. And what hides the brain from getting this stuff is the subconscious beliefs it holds into our mind and our feeling. Someone asked me, how can I win the lottery? The lottery is just the same principle I'm going to go over in this little tutorial here to show you just how this stuff works and how the mind can alter the reality. Now, I'll tell you this. There's just some stuff that we don't know yet. Science hasn't caught up to it yet. And this lies in the realm of intuition, in the realm of your thoughts, your focus. So look, I want to give an example of how the brain can stop you from reaching your goals. Or I want to give an example of how opportunities could be right in front of your face, but yet your brain will put it out. So I use this example before. Let's say you're a person and you're struggling to make a business. You're doing your thing, you're trying hard. So let's say your name is Al. And then we have another person here, his name is Jim. So Al and Jim. Al grew up with parents that were like very limited about the views of money in the world and all that stuff. Jim, on the other hand, had parents who were a little more positive. They kind of helped him, mold him, showed Jim that, listen, you can have anything you want. The world is yours. You can be positive. Al, on the other hand, was more in a grow up with the parents always fighting over money and saying, oh, this is hard or this is difficult, right? So we have Al and Jim. So when they both grow up, now let's say now Jim is looking to be a successful businessman, let's say real estate or investment or something of that sort. Al, on the other hand, now is a successful businessman and an investor. So whatever Al does, he succeeds a lot. Whatever Jim does, he succeeds a lot. But whatever Al does, he kind of struggles. He goes ups and downs. So one day, both of these two individuals are in the same supermarket, right? Now, Al is looking for someone that can help him to make his master's business. Jim is in the same supermarket with Al. So Jim is that person, right? Now, let's throw a concoction into this scenario. Let's throw a glitch in this. While in the supermarket, there's another person in the supermarket. there's another person, let's say his name is Phil. Phil and Al, they both have the same bring up or makeup. Phil is struggling with a business, just like Al is. So we have three individuals in the supermarket, and they don't know each other. So we have Phil, Al, and Jim. Jim is the one that knows his business. His makeup is a lot different, and Jim now is really succeeding. Phil and Al are the two struggling ones. Guess what? They all meet up in the same checkout line. So these three individuals in the same line. Now, what will the brain do? Remember this now, guys. Remember that how this stuff works is we're going to be attracted by what we resonate with, not based on what we want intellectually, but what we want on an emotional subconscious level. So all three of them is in the supermarket. So we have Al, Jim, right? And I said Phil, right? Al, Jim, and Phil. So Al is front, right? Jim is directly behind Al and Phil. Al turns around and sees something on Phil, and they start having a conversation, completely ignoring Jim in the middle of them. When they start talking about the business they want, and they say, "Oh man, we're struggling too, man. Let me get your number so we can try to figure out how to make this business." In the middle of them is Jim, the person that can solve all their problems, that can make this money and help them make this business. But the question is, why didn't Al, subconscious mind, pick up Jim? Why did he pick up Phil? That's an example of how your brain will stop opportunity that's right in front of you. The reason why Al tuned into Phil, because they were both on the same frequency subconsciously. They both had the same beliefs, limitation and lack. See, Jim, on the other hand, had a more of like a little positive. So I'm just showing you how your brain can sabotage you from reaching success based on a program that's been held in subconscious mind. So how do you fix it? Well, we can't control all of our surroundings or where we were born or where we were raised and all that stuff, right? We can't do all that stuff. But what you can do, you can understand the mechanisms that's controlling and dictating your life, which is an unconscious program running. And then once you understand, you can take charge and you can change your program through auto-hypnosis, through subliminals, through hypnotherapy, through just being in awareness and changing your thoughts and keeping the repetition and focusing on it. But the biggest step to know this stuff is to know that you are a subconscious program. When you know you're more subconscious, then you're more aware, and then you can start to focus to fix that stuff. So as intelligent, as good as the brain is, even though you want that stuff, the subconscious will always win based on the beliefs. And remember, your subconscious can't think like in your regular mind and says, well, this is right or this is wrong. See? Very powerful to understand the mind and body connection. Now, the next part of this stuff is, okay, when we want to create or manifest stuff in our lives, there are rules that the universe create that we have to follow to make stuff coming in. And one of the most important rules is this: you have to know what you want. That's a decision. That's good. And the next rule, someone mentioned that to me right here. She says, how do you stay focused? That's the next rule, being focused. So how do you stay focused on your goals and desires? You stay focused on your goals and desires by making the goal or the desire not bigger than you. When the goal or desire becomes bigger than you, you're going to lose your focus, because you're going to think it's something hard to achieve and something out of your comfort zone, out of your zone to reach. Therefore, you're going to constantly try to figure out how to get it, to need it, to match it. So if you ever want to stay focused and manifest anything, one of the most fundamental rules is always bring your desires less than you. Make yourself a lot bigger than you, right? Meditation too is a very important tool. Meditation helps you to bring things in. Right? How do you get over working 9 to 5, trying to vibrate high in order to manifest? Well, the thing is, you're not going to be able to get over 9 to 5 because if it's your job, you're doing it. What you have to learn to cope with that. You have to learn to create some blocks or some coping mechanisms so that you can stay focused on what you do. You know, manifesting, creating what you want is all about your belief. You have to build a belief. You have to believe that what you want is possible and it's going to happen for you. I mean, and why wouldn't it? Because, you know, you are spiritual beings here. Your body is electrochemical signals. That's what you are. You communicate through thought, waves, feelings, and vibrations. And you have the ability to actually interrupt physical reality. You can change the frequency of any situation you're in. You're doing it right now. You're doing it right now. You don't even know it. You're manifesting right this moment, but you're not aware of it. You're manifesting based on your subconscious habits, the subconscious thing. And you know, the thing about the feelings, I always say this to people. Always ask me, it's like, man, Mark, what about our feelings, man? When I feel negative, man, all this stuff, is it bad? No. My view is your feelings are just one thing. They're just telling you that A or B. I'm moving towards what I want. I'm moving away from what I want. That's all feelings do. They just tell you if you're on the right track or you're off the right track. But we get so caught up into our feelings, and this is because of our ego. You know, that ego mind, that conscious mind, wants to hold on. It needs to hold on. It needs the validation, man. But you don't need the validation. Your authentic self doesn't need the validation. Here's the next component about this whole reality stuff that trips a lot of people up too, is they get so caught up in their 3 time concepts. They have what's called psychological time, chronological time, right? And all these different time, and we have linear time. And so what happens is psychological, chronological, linear time. These time concepts were all created to make sense of one part of the mind, the frontal lobe, the ego, the conscious mind. They have nothing to do with how your subconscious creates reality. There is only the one time, and it's the moment of this ever-present moment of now. Anytime you're not in this moment, you're missing information that can help you to achieve your goals. Now, what happens to most individuals is we all get caught up in it. And the only true time in all of this is, here they are, biological, chronological, psychological. The only true time that exists in all of this is the biological time, the time in your cells. Your cells, there's not even time, they're called entropy. Everything moves from order to disorder. Psychological time, that was invented. Your brain took that on. Your brain developed a circadian rhythm based on the environment, right? Chronological time, that was invented. That's the month, day, year of your birth, the weeks and days. All that was invented. All that is not even true as well. All those are figments of creation by the matrix or society. They're not real. Yet, the brain has to make sense of it, so the mind takes that and looks at it as a real thing. But when the mind is doing that, the mind adheres and fails to do one thing. The mind is unaware. I'm talking about the conscious mind. You don't have a regular mind. It's unaware that the true source of all your creative powers and what you create in your life lies below conscious awareness, unconscious. Therefore, you're up here living a fake, made-up world in your brain, but while the subconscious is in the true essence of reality in the present moment. And what happens is they clash. They clash together, creates resistance, stagnation, and your manifestation freezes. Because your mind tricks you to believe that there is tomorrow, next week, last month, this happened, and we spend a lot of our time caught up in what if, what could, instead of being in this moment. And let me show you why that's so important, man. Because we have intuition. You have higher awareness. All that can only be accessed when you are in a moment. None of that can be accessed when you are out of the moment. And if you want to create You have to learn to be more present. The secret is to be in that moment. Now, it's not about quantity, it's about the quality. Now, how do you do that, man? Because we're so used to our minds racing and our minds putting us in all these different situations. How do you do that? You do that by bringing what? The awareness, the self. To know that you are the observer. You are not the mind. Rather, you are an awareness of the mind. You see how powerful that is, man? Check it out. Wow, I'm not the mind, but I'm the awareness of the mind. So what am I then? You are the universal consciousness of all intelligent awareness. And you are just in this little part of this play experience, a little fractal part of this on your side. And so is this person and that person. Everyone is connected by this universal consciousness, or what we call their higher authentic selves. See that? And then that ego mind will constantly chatter you up. Someone asked me, man, how do you silence the mind? You silence the mind by not associating with the mind. Let me put it like this. If you're being bothered by your mind and you're taking everything seriously and your mind is making you feel down or depressed, it means that you have associated yourself with your mind. Get out of the association of the mind and become the awareness of the mind. Only then will you start to find the peace you're looking for, because now you'll see the mind for what it is. You expose the ego. See, guys, the thing is, we become so enchanted and so suaved by our own egos that we don't even know we're in it. We're a part of it. But you cannot be a part of something that you are observing. Let me read that. You cannot be something you are observing, man. Let that sink in. Watch this over again. You cannot be a part of something you're observing. That's the greatest trickery the mind puts to us. So how do I do that? By becoming aware. Okay, wait a minute. That's a thought. That's a negative thought. That's a positive thought. They're just thoughts. Okay, I like this thought. I'll go focus on that. I don't like this thought, so I'll let it pass. That's it. That's how you start to become freedom from the ego. And then once you start to do that, this mind chatter will start to slow down. That's right. You're not your mind. You're the awareness of the mind. You are the observer of all of this. You're observing experience. You're observing the body. You're not even your body, man. You're not even your name. You're not even your age. You are nothing. You are just pure consciousness that's taken a physical form of the person you're inhabiting right now. That's all you're doing. You exist in the microtubules part of the brain. Once the quantum fluctuation, and we have these quantum glitches, we call them the unified field. Once quantum entanglement takes place, once energy was created, can't be created or destroyed, but once that light goes off, that energy that's in you, it resides in the microtubules of your brain. That's who you are. When the brain gets shut off, the energy goes back out into the universe. Your consciousness goes back out in you. So you're being locked in by an energy. You're just plugged into this person as being. We're just plugged in, man. And when you're plugged in, you're aware of it. Now the thing is, because we've been conditioned so long, we start to take this whole thing personally. We start to say, this is me, this is mine. It's not. You're borrowing this. All of this is going to decay, man. You're borrowing your body, all that stuff. It's borrowed. It's a borrowed time. Who you are is always infinite. You cannot expire. The awareness of you. Once this God body decays and goes, boop, your consciousness goes back out into the infinite universe, and then it reincarnates, it's established back into another universe. It could be another earth, another parallel. And by the way, you do know, right, Now, this is not the only universe we inhabit, correct? You do know that, right? You do know, right, that we live on membranes of different universes, right? You know what a membrane is? And within that membrane has pockets of universes. And when these universes touch each other, they create big bangs. And that's how part of our universe started. You did do know that, right? And did you also know that within these pockets of universe, there are infinite parallel versions of you and I that may exist somewhere out there, parallel right now? Did you do know that, right? Know that, right? And the reason we know that because we know how quantum physics and particles work. They can only be arranged in a certain pattern. It must come eventually. They must repeat their patterns. All of this is so perplexing and so mind-boggling to the simple conscious mind. The simple conscious mind can't grasp it. The ego can't grasp this stuff, so it passes it off as phony. But it's truth. It's science. It's how the universe works. Just like the concept of time. Just like the concept that there is a spiritual world that exists before a material world. That everything comes from the non-physical into the physical. And the whole thing is masquerade by the brain's perception of these little 5 senses. And that's not even your whole reality. That's a spectrum. That's a percent. 99% of all reality is actually hidden from all of us. The only way you can tap in to all of this stuff is to know, to escape the mind and become the observer. That's right, your body is a rental. That's right, somebody said rental vehicle. Go ahead and try to control all the biological systems of your body right now. You can't do none of that. Your body is going to do what it wants to do on its time. It's going to digest this food when it's ready. It's controlling your heart rate, your beat, your circadian rhythm. It's controlling the homeopathic states, your temperature. All of that without you. You know who does that stuff? Who controls all that part of your body? Anyone knows what automated system controls that all those stuff in your body? Anyone knows here? Hey Mark, I'm struggling with my manifestation and healing help. What are you struggling with the manifestation? What's the issue there? Your gut? Nope. Your gut is controlled by that system as well. It is called your subconscious mind. All that stuff is being run. That's right. Your subconscious is controlling your body. And it's controlling you. You are the awareness of all that. But guess what? Because you are the awareness of the unconscious, you can control the unconscious now. Because you are the watcher of the person. You're not the person. If your manifestation isn't coming in, then that means you're attached to them. Manifestations will come in when they're meant to come in. See, the thing is, when I'm going to manifest something with a lot of, I don't look or ask like, why isn't it coming in? If I keep saying, why is it coming in? It's not going to come in. I'm affirming it's not here. All I do is I stop looking and I just start expecting and I just start doing other stuff in the meantime. And when it comes in, it comes in. So if you're someone that wants to create something in your life, you got to stop looking and saying, where is it at? And again, who does that? The ego, the conscious, logical mind. It gives you expectation. It gives you time. See, remember when back, if you don't watch this live, I talked about an early part of how this all works as a big scheme for the ego. So if someone asks, so if we are conscious creators, why is it in universal timing? Well, because everything is happening now. And I'm going to answer, here's what the answer to that. The reason why everything is in universal timing is because the part of your brain that developed can't grasp all the information at once. So it has to break them up in pieces and pieces. And that gives you the illusion of universal time. But in reality, everything had already happened at once. You already manifested the stuff you want right now. It's just that your brain hasn't caught up to that part of the film because the brain can't see everything at once. Therefore, it gives you the delay or the illusion that is taking time. But in actual reality, all of this is existing all at once in the same time and same space. Your birth, right over here. Middle age, right over here. Your death is right over here. And if you can go above the timeline and look down, you can see all these different points and coordinates. You know who can do that? Your higher self can do that. We know that because we know now time is a block. time can go in different directions, man. So we know that there's one big time that exists, and all this the time has just have coordinates. Over here is your birth. Over here is your kid. When you were a kid. Over there is when you were 21, 25, 19, 20. Oh, there's your death over there. There's your manifestation over there. All of it. But if you're in the block, you can only see so far of the block. But if you're above the block and looking down, you can see all of that stuff over there. Did you know that? Most people don't even understand the power they have. Anything that you're thinking of that you desire, it is out there already as an actual event in space-time. Space and time are this. They are entangled. When I mean time, I'm talking about the present moment. Now look, I will give you a big tip, and here it is. If you want to know how stuff really works, follow how your subconscious works. It takes out all the complication stuff. Number one is your subconscious doesn't know time. It only knows now. That should give you a big tip. Like, man, okay, my subconscious don't know next week or next year, bro. So why do I have a next year or next week in my regular head? Why do we have to have like Monday, Tuesday? Why do I have to an age? Why am I this or that? Why do we have the month and day and all that? You got to start thinking to yourself, like, why are we doing this stuff? Well, it's all made up to make our lives seem what? Normal, right? To get us into how we evolve. But the truth is, if you're someone that wants to manifest, you have to go beyond the normal stuff. You have to become a little, what I call, crazy to get into that. You know, you have to go beyond what normal people think and do, because that's how you're gonna find the great stuff. You can't, if you go do what everybody does, it's not successful. People who are successful, they create a different trail. How do you deal with 3D circumstances while you align with your manifestation? You have to, okay, again, as I'm showing you guys, the 3D circumstances, you have to become the observer of these things. You deal with them by not having any attachment to them, by seeing them just as is. They're just experiences, good or bad. Your perception gives them that thing. So if you give good perceptions to bad stuff that you think is bad, those bad stuff will start to turn to the good perception you have. So the key to deal with anything in the 3D construct or in the 3D world is you have to take yourself from the ego and become the watcher of all of this. You see, it's like you literally have to be the way I do it is I pretend I'm at a movie, and I'm the one sitting down watching my movie. I'm not in the movie. I'm just watching the movie. So whatever's going on in the movie, not going to affect me. I'm just the watcher. That's how I do it. But what people don't understand is they put themselves in the movie. They take it personal. They become a part of the movie. Therefore, they develop feelings. They develop these limitations and all this. I try not to do that. I just become aware of those things. And of course, your mind's going to kick in and try to make you feel a certain way. But I remind myself, hey, man, I'm the observer of this stuff here. You know, this stuff is... All right, I'll put this here. Let's talk about neuroscience. In the human brain, they cannot find any place in your brain that has yourself, that has your identity. It doesn't exist. It means you don't exist. You're a concoction based on a pattern recognition software of your conscious logical mind. I mean, look it up. Neuroscience. They can find everything. They can find where you have feelings, where you have the emotion, where you have laughter, where all these automatic system of your body they can find, but they cannot find anywhere in the human brain where it has the identity of who you are, because it does not exist. So we have been duped to take on this limited personality, which it serves us in a way, it helps us, but you are bigger than that stuff. Right? Do you see how that stuff works, guys? And that's basically what you want to start to do. You want to start to just become that awareness, and then make your manifestations smaller. You can always visualize your goals, and then you're always going to see some big changes going to start to pop in your life. This is going to get a lot more trippier as we get more understanding of how stuff works. But the big one is, you are not the self. The self is a make-up part of a smart, logical mind. Within the logical mind has intelligence, has reason, and has rationality, but it doesn't have truth. Truth of who you are, of what you're capable of doing. Let me repeat that. In your logical mind, you could be the smartest person right now. You could be a scientist, a physicist, a neurosurgeon, all that. You will have understanding. You will have logic. You will have judgment. You have rationalization. But you will never see truth there. Truth can never exist in the conscious mind. Why? Because the conscious mind is incapable of seeing feelings and beyond other things. Your conscious mind doesn't understand intuition. It doesn't understand higher knowledge, because for one simple fact, the conscious mind does not have enough brain memory power to tap into the unlimited universe. Your higher self has all the unlimited power, and so is your subconscious. Your subconscious can process 1 billion bits of information per second. Your subconscious is infinite. It is plugged into your authentic higher self. The self concept is something that was made up when we started to evolve in the plains. We started to be hunter and gatherer. We started to protect ourselves in fear of eaten by a lion or a tiger. We had to live in the caves. We had to protect ourselves. That started to form our composite composure of what's called the ego mind. And as society advanced, as technologically as we do it advance, those primitive behaviors still stayed. And then they were warped even more when we got into the Industrial Revolution. When we got educational set up, when we got social status, when we got created art and music. Now we have this part of the ego where it says, I'm better than you, or you're better than me, I'm this, I'm that, I'm an athlete, I'm this. So that created our structure of our minds and our feelings and our identities. And my name is Mark, and this is what I'm good at, and I don't like you to talk to me like that. How could you treat me like that? All of that was involved or evolved by a core composure of our programming. That's the self. It's fake. Now, 100 years later now, millions of years later, we are now evolved and we have neuroscience, and we peer into the brain, EEGs, and we can never find any place in the brain that houses the self. You know what else they can't find in the brain? Any place in the brain that houses your memories. Memories don't live in the brain. There's no precise location of memories in your brain. Memories are here. What else they found? Here's what else they found. They found that your thoughts and all this stuff that's coming in, it's not actually coming into your brain. It's not in the brain. It's around the electromagnetic wave 6 feet around your brain. It's in space-time. It's outside. Nothing is inside. Let that sink in. So your conscious mind comes from the environment, from what you were taught. The subconscious watches and learns, and the conscious mind creates your environment. But still, you're the observer. They say constantly visualize your manifestation, but how can you do that if you're what? If you're supposed to let it go. I'll address this one before then I have to go. All right. Look, this is a big thing people struggle with. They said to consistently visualize your manifestation, but how can you do that if you're supposed to let it go? So let's talk about what let it go means. Okay. I can stay here all day and visualize what I want without needing it. That's letting it go means. It means when you visualize your stuff you want, do it without the attachment of the need of it. Do it just to do it, to make you feel good and to have fun as an imaginary thing. Mic drop. That's it. All right, guys. I'll see you next time. We'll do another one of these. Thank you.